On an afternoon in November 2007, a corporate jet waited in a hangar at Salt Lake International Airport. Its 4 passengers, scientists and executives from a global pharmaceutical company, were locked in negotiations with 3 men in a nearby building.
They started getting on the phone about noon back east, and they kept doing that, and about 2 o'clock they walked in the room and said, okay, we're convinced you've got something here, and it's significant enough that we will write you a check big enough that you won't want to talk to anybody else.
We said, we'll call you tomorrow. And we immediately adjourned into our conference room again to discuss the offer that they'd put on the table.
How these men came together and the decision they made that day is the story of ASEA's genesis.
A lot of people have fathers that teach them sports. My father happened to be a great strategist, and from a very young age I recall having discussions with him about what he was doing. At the time he was running fairly large companies, and I can remember driving in the car with him and him talking to me about strategy, about what is strategy and how to think differently about a company.
Virtus Norton was well qualified to teach his son. At the time, he was sales planning manager of the billion-dollar beverage division of General Foods Corporation in New York, with responsibility for iconic products like Kool-Aid, Country Time, and others. In 1985, he was recruited by Dart and Kraft and eventually became the head of Hobart Corporation US near Cincinnati, Ohio. 5 years later, he rejoined Kraft General Foods in Chicago as vice president of the Channel Group, managing a billion-dollar pilot business unit that led to the eventual integration of General Foods, Oscar Mayer, and Kraft Foods. Based on his track record, Virtus was asked to help re-engineer the company to increase efficiency in relation to an industry-wide initiative called Efficient Consumer Response. In the subsequent 3 years, Kraft's ECR, or efficiency rating, moved from 10th to 1st place.
I've known Virtus for over 25 years, and it was apparent to me immediately that here was a very special man. A man that had wonderful ethics, great business strategies, enthusiasm. There was no question that this man was going to be a huge success, and he is a success.
Virtus retired from Kraft at age 57 and moved to Park City, Utah.
We thought he would take retirement seriously. He did not. Shortly after doing some service for our church, he was asked to run a biotech company. He had a lab in Southern California, 5 PhDs reporting to him, a series of master's or graduate students as well, all doing work for him there. And he ran that for 4 years, and we thought he was done.
But Virtus Norton was not done. Through his son Tyler, Virtus was introduced to another biotech company and invited to become a member of their board.
I recall coming to the house one afternoon only to find books strewn about his desk, chemistry and biology books, and I said, now what in the world are you doing now? And he proceeded to tell me that he had been invited to sit on the board of this company that had an incredible technology. And I do recall him saying, but they don't know exactly what they have. And that's an invitation to my dad. He's going to figure it out. He's a puzzler.
I was intrigued until they told me it was made from salt water. And I told them, this doesn't sound right, and you're going to have to convince me it's real. They said, well, we can do that. They said, we have a lot of research, and we'll give you some of the best research. You can look at it. And after running a lab and having my association with these people for 4 years, I knew what to look for. And I went through the science, and it was good, defensible science. Then they gave me a list of people to call, and I was calling Harvard, UCLA, University of Washington, University of Indiana, major labs across the United States, and everyone I talked to raved about the product, the way the company was intending for it to be used, And also they raved about the fact that you could drink this product and get a benefit from it.
At the time, the product could only be produced in limited quantities through small devices. Highly unstable, it had to be used within minutes of production. But seeing the strength of the product, Virtus agreed to join the board of directors.
As soon as I did that, they said, we're going to give you one of these devices to put in your house. We'd like you to become familiar with it. I started drinking the product that was made in this device, and my thinking cleared up. I had more energy. I felt better than I had for years, and now keep in mind I was in my 60s at that time. And I thought, holy cow, what is this? So I went to the first board meeting and found out that they were flat out of money. They were $1 million in debt. We said, let's see if we can help them find money. We tried for about 90 days, could not. Eventually the company folded, and they actually merged it with another company, an energy company. And when that happened, that company started selling off assets.
Meanwhile, a family in New Hampshire was embarking on a major change. Jim Pack had been a highly successful consultant in the telecommunications industry. His son, Joe, had secured a position on the United States ski team. Wanting Joe to achieve his dreams, the family moved to Park City to allow Joe to train with the U.S. freestyle team for the 2002 Winter Olympics.
So I'm living in a subdivision in Park City, Utah, and after a few years, another gentleman moves in a few houses up from me. This gentleman was named Virtus Norton. Now, Virtus and I became good friends, and actually we became good golfing buddies. I quickly came to realize that Virtus was something special in terms of his training, his business skills, his analytical ability, his integrity. Everything about Virtus was so much better than any executive, including governors or attorney generals, that I'd ever worked with. He was so competent. I was impressed. I made the decision on the golf course as we golfed, week after